on over to Meijer for a happy Easter. We're serving up low prices on Easter favorites, like Meijer's Spiral Sliced Ham for just 99 cents per pound. Limit 1. Find all your fresh sides for less. Plus rolls and desserts in the Meijer Bakery. Plus, find more in one stop, like sweet deals on treats and toys. This week, earn 3,000 points for every $30 you spend on toys with M-Perks. Shop the same low in-store prices online and get more for your money at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Hello and welcome to mini episode 236 of Real Life Ghost Stories, and I have 3 spooky stories for you today, and the last story comes from November the 19th, 2022, and story number 1 comes from Vicky. After listening to a couple of your listeners' stories, it helped me recollect experiences I've had as a child. Additionally, it helped me not feel so alone and crazy after hearing other people have experienced similar events as I've experienced. I will start by giving a little bit of a backstory of my childhood and trauma associated with my development. I grew up in a 7-family home consisting of 3 sisters, including me, 2 brothers, my mom and a father who was hardly home since he was a general surgeon. We used to live in a small 2-storey house, but after my parents' medical billing company began skyrocketing in success, they decided to build a magnificent home in an underdeveloped equestrian neighbourhood. We did not ride horses, but other people in the area did. The area was quite literally in bumfuck nowhere, and the next town over, Booth Thompson, had a population of 1,000. I didn't know this at the time, but after researching the area I grew up in, there were a couple of urban legends that I found out during my adult years. Apparently, the old schoolhouse from the 1800s possibly housed some sort of humanoid creature that escaped from a lab of some sort. Rumour has it that in the 80s, there were human experiments going on in a facility that looked like a small electric plant. There is also the occasional skinwalker sighting by locals. This is just to give you an idea of the swampy area that I grew up in. At the time, I was around 7 or whatever age you are, around 2nd grade. This was the time we moved into this area and our beautiful new house. Unfortunately, there was a lot of turmoil and strife within my family. Classic domestic violence, serial cheating from my father, emotional manipulation from both parents, and on top of it, my mother's depression was very, very contagious. I personally believe that due to all the heartache and pain happening in my house, she had no choice but to constantly bless us with holy oil and the house, because I believe evil spirits and demons were heavily attracted to our home. Many nights I had classic night terrors. A being with gouged out eyes sitting on top of me, choking me until I woke up out of the dream. I would try and scream for my mom, but it felt like cotton balls filled my mouth. Because of dreams like this and horror movies I watched, I refused to sleep in my bed due to the fear of being dragged away to hell by these annoying dream demons. So I slept in the TV room on the couch every night. My most consistent night terror was always this dark, shadowy toddler scuttling across the floor behind the couch and then in front of me. It would get so close to my face, cock back my Barbie guitar and smack me right in the jaw. Of course, I jolted awake every time this happened. No bruises, no pain, just annoyance and fear. Occasionally, I would see the ankles of people turning the corner in my hallways. I only saw their ankles and a white pant leg. Weird, I know, but I'm just giving the idea of the shit that I saw growing up. When I grew closer to adolescence is when shit really started getting creepy. I remember this demon as if it was only a few months ago. One night I left my room to go and sit in the dark playroom and watch some funny videos on my iPod. The playroom was the only spot in the house where the Wi-Fi wasn't absolute dog shit. I would sit there in the dark, no problem. My sister's room faced directly into the playroom, and she typically left the door wide open and the lights turned off. 12-year-old me at the time didn't think too much about the weird shit I was seeing because I began to distract myself with video games and YouTube a lot during that time. iPod in hand and unsuspecting of what I was about to see, I cheerfully waltzed my way to the playroom and walked by her door. And that's when I saw it. In the periphery of my eyes, I thought I saw my sister standing in the dark facing the door. However, frozen in my stance and turning my head, it was not my sister at all. This demon looked about 7 foot tall and had the outline of a humanoid figure. The outline of this humanoid body was analogous to the outline of a dead body at a crime scene. This demon appeared to be covered in feathers. I knew it was real and not a figment of my imagination because I could not see through this being at all. He was standing right in front of the windows that had the shutters closed. Even when the shutters are closed, you can see light peeking out from behind the shutters. His body was solid and not opaque like a ghostly being. The energy felt masculine and angry. I was absolutely frozen and shaken. It was as if I could not move, and he made me look at him in my sister's dark room. In an instant, I realised in my 12-year-old head, I have to close the door. I have to close the door. Once I broke free, the demon charged after me. I swear to God this was happening so fast, but also in slow motion. As soon as I yanked the door closed, I felt the door move as if he hit the door with his huge body or figure. I began crying furiously as well as shaking. I couldn't fucking believe what I'd seen and figured it would come back. I never told anyone in my family. I was afraid that they would call me crazy or my mom would get angry and accuse me of playing with witchcraft. I was always trying to avoid a beating. P.S. I never played with witchcraft. I was just a simple gothic girl who loved horror movies and attended mass like a good Catholic girl. There is no judgment of witchcraft in this house. If you want to play with witchcraft stuff, then you are welcome to play with witchcraft stuff, you know. And equally, if you want to go to mass, then you are more than welcome to go to mass. Listen, tell you what though, I am glad, Vicky, that hearing listeners' stories has made you not feel alone and made you not feel crazy and make you feel like, oh, other people have experienced similar things. So I need to get this straight in my head. The figure was 7 feet tall. It was sort of more of just an outline of a figure, like an impression of a figure, but it appeared to be covered in feathers. I feel like this might be the first time we've had a feathered demon. I don't remember there being a feathered demon prior to this. That sounds absolutely petrifying, and even more petrifying that when you closed the door, it obviously ran towards the door and its body weight was like, you know, smacked against the door or whatever, which is petrifying. And, you know, like you said, Vicky, I think there might be some truck in the idea that bad energy in a household, when you've got mental health issues, depression, violence, when you've got domestic violence, when you've got infidelity, whatever it is. I don't think I've ever used the word infidelity in my life, but when you've got all of those things in a household, there's a lot of negative energy is stirred up. I think, yeah, a lot of negative things happen in households where all that stuff is going on. Like, how many listener stories do we hear where they start, my parents were getting divorced, or I was going through a mental health crisis, or somebody in my family was going through a mental health crisis. Like, all that negative energy does something. Today's episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. Now, look, I know I've been doing fun, silly ads for HelloFresh at the moment, but I thought I needed to do at least one ad where you could really get an idea of what HelloFresh is all about. Did you know that March is National Nutrition Month, and HelloFresh makes it easy to choose delicious dietitian approved meals. Simply look for the dietitian win tag on their menu choices for meals with under 700 calories and with 1/3 less sodium. And those aren't the only options, so you can choose quick cook, you can choose that your box is family friendly, carb smart, protein rich, vegetarian, pork free. There are so many different options to choose from. HelloFresh sends you seasonal recipes that come with ingredients already pre-proportioned, so all you have to do is cook and enjoy. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm not a good cook. It's not something that comes naturally to me, but let me tell you, when I'm getting HelloFresh, I feel like I'm Gordon Ramsay, you know. I'm taking pictures of every meal and I'm sending it into the group chat. To be honest, HelloFresh is one of those things that I'm always going to recommend, whether I'm advertising for them or not. It's quick, it's easy, it's great for people who maybe aren't very good cooks like me. It's cost effective, and it also saves on a ton of waste. So go to hellofresh.com/real-life-ghost-stories-60 and use the code real-life-ghost-stories-60 for 60% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/real-life-ghost-stories-60 and use the code real-life-ghost-stories-60 for 60% off plus free shipping. Today's episode is sponsored by Hers. This time of year, all of the emphasis is always on organising your space. It's always on wellness. It's on spring cleaning. It's on fresh starts. But actually, the most important way to take care of yourself is to take care of your mental health, and you can do so at forhers.com. At forhers.com, you can get access to real medical providers who can prescribe trusted anxiety and depression medication if it is right for you. The process is 100% online, including unlimited check-ins, provider messaging and support along the way. Plus, to make things even simpler, you can get your first month of treatment for just $25 if prescribed. To get started, go to forhers.com/spring. That's forhers.com/spring. And I know for some people that getting access to proper mental health care can be a serious source of stress in and of itself. It also can be really difficult to talk to healthcare providers face to face about things like your sexual health, about things like hair loss, and about things like your mental health. That is why Hers makes it simple. Get started today at forhers.com/spring. That's forhers, forhers.com/spring. The offer is only available if prescribed. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. The subscription is required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. And story number 2 comes from Sonya. When I was a child, I damaged my wrist. Me and some school friends were playing on a bouncy castle at an after-school event. One of the boys playing fell on my wrist, and since then, I had what is known as a ganglion cyst form on the bone. It would come and go, change size, and also move around. It sounds gross, I know. Around winter time, 2007, I was now 17. My grandparents' best friend, we knew as Auntie Betty, died. My twin sister and I would often go and visit her and her husband Reg when we were visiting our grandparents, so we were quite close. It was a very cloudy day in England, and my nan brought around some of Betty's items, makeup and things she had thought my sister and myself would use. There was a strange, eerie feeling in the air. I am very much a believer in the paranormal. My twin sister is more sceptical, but I said to her, "Do you feel that?" And she said, "Yeah, actually, I do." There was almost a heaviness in the air surrounding us, but it didn't feel negative or scary. The following week or so, the ganglion cyst had almost appeared out of nowhere. It doesn't hurt, but it had moved to my thumb and looked very strange. It was like having a sort of pyramid on my finger. After showing my sister, I ran downstairs to show my mum because I was shocked at how strange it looked. My mum was stood in the middle of the living room and my dad was sat in the chair behind and to the left of me. I said to my mum, "Oh my God, look at this." She asked what I was looking at and I showed her. My dad is a very funny character and always messing around to try and make us laugh. All of a sudden I felt, all I can describe it as, is a slight pressure against the top half of my body as if someone was leaning over my shoulder. I automatically flinched as I wasn't expecting it. I thought my dad had gotten up to look over my shoulder to try and be funny. As I quickly looked behind me, no one was there and the feeling stopped. I turned back to my mum, who was looking at me in shock to my reaction. I told her that I thought my dad had gotten up to look over my shoulder because I felt someone there. My dad was sat in the exact same position and hadn't moved. I ran upstairs to tell my sister what had happened. She looked scared but also slightly amused and said, "I think it was Auntie Betty checking to make sure that you were okay." Nothing has happened since, but every now and then I feel a sort of presence, not scary, but as if someone is there. Sonya, I know this is not the point of your story, but I love any kind of little medical oddity. I love them. I think they're great. I'm obsessed. And I love a good ganglion cyst, you know. I know obviously it's not pleasant for you because you broke your wrist in order to achieve the ganglion cyst. But they are a very strange little thing that exists. And as far as I know, they're just harmless. So all that to say, if I had died and somebody that I loved had a ganglion cyst that moved around their hand and had appeared on their thumb almost as a pyramid shape, you best believe I'm coming back to see that. You best believe I'm haunting them just to see that. And how nice to think that Betty was, looking out for you, just checking in to make sure that you were okay, that it wasn't that serious. And maybe she was also checking in to make sure that her makeup and stuff was being put to good use. There's also that. And story number 3 comes from Emily. My husband, my 14-year-old daughter and I have lived in our current house for about 11 years. It's a 2-story, 2-bedroom condo, and my daughter's room is upstairs, right over the downstairs living room. When my daughter was younger, I would be watching TV in the living room at night when she was in bed, and I'd hear a loud thump overhead. I would dash upstairs thinking she had fallen out of bed, only to find her in her room fast asleep. Her room has always given me a bit of the creeps, and she's mentioned it as well, but I just pretend everything is fine because I don't happen to have a local exorcist handy. One of the positive things to come out of this god-awful pandemic was that in the summer of 2020 I discovered Real Life Ghost Stories, which I promptly started binging as you do. A hot, sticky day in August, I was at my sewing machine, making hundreds of masks for my community. I had my earbuds in, freaking myself out, listening to probably Dear David or some Skinwalker shit. All of a sudden, my daughter comes running downstairs and says, "Mom, there's a really weird sound in your room." Oh, fuck, I think. This is it. I'm finally going to see something. Nervously, I started up the stairs with my daughter right behind me, clutching my arm. As we crept up step by step, my heart in my butt, I could hear a grumbly, rumbly sound getting louder and louder as we slowly approached my bedroom. Certain it was a demon or that a portal to hell had opened, I slowly, tentatively peeked around the corner of the door jamb. I didn't see anything. But then I realised the sound was coming from my husband's sock drawer. Quickly I realised what it was, and I shooed my daughter away from the room, telling her it was just the box fan in the window gone wonky. I opened the drawer to find my vibrator buzzing like mad. Apparently, I have a horny ghost. Emily, this story brought me untold amounts of joy. And I feel like it's not the first vibrator story that we've had. I think we've had a couple of other vibrator stories that have been kind of in the same vein, where people are like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is that sound?" And then it's like, "Oh shit, it's my vibrator." I would have paid money to see your face at that moment of realisation, at that moment of, "Oh no, don't worry about it, it's just the box fan, it's just the box fan's gone weird, it's fine, go back to your room, please, dear God, go back to your room, please go back to your room," because I don't want to have this conversation about my vibrator with my 14-year-old daughter, thanks very much. What an absolute joy to end on. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you to Vicky, Sonya and Emily for sending in your stories. Remember, the last story came from November the 19th, 2022. And if you would like to send in your story, you can send it to reallifeghoststoriespodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out the website reallifeghoststoriespodcast.com. And if you are desperate for some extra content, you can subscribe to patreon.com/reallifeghoststories, where for $5 a month or $2 a month, you get access to heaps of extra content, as well as every single main and mini episode completely ad-free. And on that note, I shall see you next time.
Hop on over to Meijer for a happy Easter. We're serving up low prices on Easter favorites, like Meijer's Spiral Sliced Ham for just 99 cents per pound. Limit 1. Find all your fresh sides for less. Plus rolls and desserts in the Meijer Bakery. Plus, find more in one stop, like sweet deals on treats and toys. This week, earn 3,000 points for every $30 you spend on toys with M-Perks. Shop the same low in-store prices online and get more for your money at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
He's kind and he's funny and he's also mustachioed. He solves all your problems by the end of every episode. TV Dad. Everyone loves TV Dad. TV Dad. Unlike your real dad, he never hollers. And he tells you how Progressive can save you lots of dollars.
Listen to your TV Dad. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.